Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, a podcast devoted to helping you take your message, your business, and your life to the next level. This, my friends, is episode number 483, and I am your host, Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast answer man. And my friends, I am so excited because, well, I took another big, huge plunge in fulfilling a project that's been on my list to do for a very long time, and oh my gosh, am I glad that I did it, though I paid a huge price. So what am I talking about? Well, many of you guys have been following my journey here, and you know that a couple months ago, I began to make the transition of putting my digital products over into my new Kajabi software. This is a new online course program that allows me to combine, let's just say, an online store, shopping cart, digital course distribution. Allows me to have all of my digital tutorials or products, if you will, in a single platform where one username, one password for a customer or a client or a member of my community. All they need is one login, and basically this program allows them to access anything that they've purchased from me in one library. And not only that, but it also handles all of my landing pages, which are beautifully created and stuff like that. If you want to see an example of that, just go to podcastingA2Z.com. Anyway, I've documented the fact that I purchased this software as a beta member back in January of last year, and a couple months ago I finally dusted this software off, jumped in, figured out how to use it, and it's been kind of nice. In fact, I talked about how Black Friday through Cyber Monday, that in conjunction with ConvertKit, I was able to make a significant sale, and it was 100% automated, didn't have to do anything as a result of that process. It's been awesome. Now, the thing is back in October, I had my 27th session of Podcasting A to Z. And it was right before that session that I was working on putting these tutorials, the standalone one-off, you can purchase these individually tutorials. It was right before that course started that I made that transition, putting those things in there. Now, the thing is that the 2 weeks leading up to session 27, which started back in October of 2016, the 2 weeks leading up to that course, I had it on my list to do every single day, blocked out, move Podcasting A to Z into new Kajabi. And well, every single day leading up to that course, something would come up, and I would have an appointment that was on my schedule like halfway through the day, and I'm like, I don't want to start it and go and do. One thing led to another, and basically, long story short, I never did move that over. And I said to myself, well, you know what? I have done 26 previous sessions of Podcasting A to Z without new Kajabi, and I've maintained a 100% satisfaction rating. I mean, the people who have taken my course absolutely love it. Over 600 students. And not only that, if you go to Podcasting A to Z, you'll see over 60 testimonials, and you could just read the testimonials there, and they're real authentic testimonials from people who have gone through my course, and the things that they say are just mind-blowing. And I'm thinking to myself back in October, I'm thinking, okay, if I've been able to exceed the expectations and wow these students without new Kajabi in the past, I'm not going to allow myself to feel guilty about the fact that I didn't invest the time needed to convert everything into new Kajabi for Podcasting A to Z for that October 2016 session of the course. And I said to myself, okay, well, let's just go ahead and do session 27 the same way I did all the other previous ones. And I'll just make it my goal to have that so that, sometime between November and December, I will have all the time necessary to put A to Z into new Kajabi. And then with my January session of Podcasting A to Z, the 28th session, which by the way just started this past Monday, this Monday, January 2nd. And I figured, that's no problem. I'll just get it done. And well, I shared in I think it was last week's episode how December was. And by the way, brand new year and never fails. I pop right back into just this amazing, energetic, let's go conquer the world mentality and mindset right after the first of the year. And I'm back in it. All the fog and darkness and all that stuff is completely gone again. And excited about that. So here's the deal. I did not get any progress taken care of. Or I did not make any progress on moving A to Z into New Kajabi in November or December. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I'm not going to allow myself to feel guilty about this. I'm not going to, and I had the same mindset that is like, listen, session 27, the October people, they loved it. It was awesome. That I got tons of praise. And so I can go ahead and do A to Z session 28, this January session of the course, the same old way. And then maybe after that, I will put everything into Kajabi. So I allowed myself, to relax a little bit during that final week in December. I enjoyed my Christmas time with my family. I enjoyed New Year's Eve. I didn't have too much pressure on any of that stuff. And then January 1st came, I think that was Sunday, and I had scheduled 2 to 4 hours to set up my podcasting A to Z course. That's how much it takes. That's how much time it takes for me to set everything up each time I do podcasting A to Z, somewhere between 2 and 4 hours. And that is just simply because of the way that I had things set up. And so I set that time aside, and then Sunday came around, and I sat in front of my computer, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and set this up in New Kajabi. Last minute decision. And what happened was I started working on it, and I'm like, and I thought about all of the different things that I needed to think about as far as how am I going to handle the discussion forums. Am I going to try to use the comment system inside of New Kajabi, or am I going to continue to use the discussion forum from Basecamp like I've done previously? How do I communicate that in the course if I decide to do it that way? There are a lot of things that go into why I hadn't done this previously, and it's because there were a lot of things for me to process how I wanted to implement podcasting A to Z as a product inside of New Kajabi. And this has been something that, like, I'm going to sleep at night and my mind is spinning thinking about how different ways that I could do it. And then Sunday, January 1st, it all clicked. I'm like, I could do this, I could do this, and I could do that. And I started to think about what the user experience would be. And I thought about how to communicate it, how it would be laid out, what it might look like inside of the product so that it has a very clear outline. And then it's like, boom, it clicked. I know what I want to do. And I started working on it. The thing is, though, what normally would have taken 2 to 4 hours if I would have just done session 28 the same old way that I've done it the past times, I could have, in 2 hours, I would have been out. But it was the first of the year. It was a Sunday, and everybody else taking the day off. And I just went to town working on this and setting it up as a product for New Kajabi. And it got to where it was 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh, there's still a lot to do here. And I made a decision right then and there. I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to pull an all-nighter. And my friends, I will be 44 years old on the 20th of January, and I just do not have that same energy and everything to pull off all-nighters like I used to back when I was in college. So I knew that this was going to cause a little bit of an issue with sleep patterns and catching up on sleep and stuff like that, because it's not like I can just do an all-nighter and then sleep all day the next day and sleep in. No, I had to do if I was going to do this, I'd be doing an all-nighter, and then I would be working all day answering students' questions during the first day of the course. And then I had some other things to do on top of that and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I did. I stayed up all night. I went and ordered myself a pizza because I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I associate an all-nighter with having pizza. So I ordered a pizza at 11 o'clock at night, and after having myself a kind of like a midnight snack, if you will, I came down here and I literally worked all night long. But it wasn't like it was really work, though. for whatever reason, because it had clicked in my mind the way that I wanted to set everything up. It was just like boom, 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 step by step. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was creating videos here in the studio for each section of the course, and it just happened naturally. It flowed. It was like, wow, this is incredible. Extremely exhausting, but incredible at the same time. And I've literally put the final touches on all of the week 1 assignments in Podcasting A to Z, and all of the onboarding videos and literally completely step by step thought every single step in the process of what it might be like on the user end. And it's so much better than what it was previously. And people were super pleased previously, but this is a whole different thing. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, I was finished. I went upstairs. I laid down for 2 hours, and I got up I think I got up at 11, and then I came down and started answering questions all day. And I will tell you this, I have never been so excited about Podcasting A to Z as I am now. I mean, it was a great course before, but this is like a whole different ballgame, my friends. It is incredible. In fact, my friend Mark Mason, you hear me talking with him here on a couple episodes. In fact, I'm sure Mark will be on the show again here very soon from Late Night Internet Marketing. Anyway, I sent Mark this text message, and I'm going to read to you exactly how I wrote it. I put Mark in all capital letters and then 4 exclamation points. And then I sent a separate text. I put OMG, all capital letters, 4 exclamation marks. And then after that, it was a separate text. I wrote, my life is, and then all big, huge cap letters, so much better with A to Z in New Kajabi. And then I sent a separate text message that said, seriously, with 4 exclamation marks. So Mark texts me back and he says, laughing out loud, that's awesome. Why? And then I just started typing. I'm like, of course I'm slap happy crazy because I haven't slept. But I said, Mark, I basically sent him 7 text messages answering his question of why I'm so excited about New Kajabi inside, or A to Z inside of New Kajabi. And then I copied those 7 different text messages and I posted them in the outline here because I knew I wanted to share it with you guys. So, number 1, setup for each session previously took somewhere between 2 to 4 hours for each session of the course. Now, from this point forward, this was session 28. So when I go and do session 29 of this course and all future sessions, setup is literally going to take me 10 minutes max. 10 minutes max to set up future sessions of Podcasting A to Z. There's no more scheduling out an entire afternoon or an entire evening on the Sunday prior to the launch of an A to Z course. Nope. Not at all. In fact, if I wanted to, I could wait until Monday morning, come down at 9:50 and take 10 minutes and boom, everything's up and running. That's number 1. I'm so excited about that. Number 2, I said, I'm going to give all previous over 600 students access to this one product after I finish this session of the course. So I am going to wait until this session is complete because, well, I still need to put all of the week 2 assignments, week 3 assignments, and week 4 assignments into this course as well. And then, of course, I just want to make sure that my current students get all of my attention before I go trying to contact 600 other students who have previously gone through this course and explain to them how to gain access into there and literally going in and giving access to 600 plus students, which actually in New Kajabi with a comma-separated file, it's actually pretty easy. So that's it. But anyway, I'm going to give all previous students access to this one product after I'm finished. And once I do that, if I make an update to any tutorial, it will be updated for everyone. And it also gets rid of, and there will be no need for anybody to ever have weekly course outlines anymore. Actually, you know what? That's another one down here. So here's item number 3. I'm still using Basecamp for forums. Before, I had to create custom links for each pre-written message or response that I have banked in TextExpander. The assignments previously were different discussion threads in the discussion forum, which was in a project individually, which was different for each session of the course previously. I know that this may not make sense to you, but just in case it does, what I did is I had a lot of people would ask questions and things of that nature, and they would say, hey, can you tell me where I can find this? And I would have pre-written responses because I get the same questions a lot. And previously, the link to where to find this answer would change depending on which session of the course you're in, because each discussion thread is in its own project in Basecamp. Well, now because everything's in New Kajabi and it's one product and it's the same product for every single one, so basically it's the same course outline. The link to where that tutorial is does not change at all. That is literally the one link for everyone who has access to this material. And so I can update it. So now, I hope that makes basically all of my links now, it's so much easier just to send people to one thing. And the other thing is that, for example, because some of my, not my main tutorials, but some of my previous like one-off tutorials, which were a discussion thread in the old system, there are like 27 prior sessions of this course where different discussion forums for each of those different sessions have different versions of that same information, and when I updated it didn't update it for everyone. And again, this is another thing where now everybody who is a current or previous student of A to Z will always have access, ongoing lifetime access to the most current recent versions of these tutorials, which is going to be incredible. I know my previous students are going to love this. All right, so that was number 3. Number 4, the cool thing is that I can actually see what tutorials people are watching and what they've marked complete. And not only that, I can actually see what portions of the video they've watched, what portions they've skipped. I literally can actually see people progressing through the assignments as, in the back end. I can literally, so for example, somebody will say, hey, Cliff, I have this question, about, let's just say, audio editing. And I can go in and I can see whether or not they've watched that, the tutorial that has that information in it. And if they have, I can say, hey, I noticed that you watched the Adobe Audition 101 tutorial. Here's a link to that, which, by the way, it's the same link all the time now. Here's the link to that tutorial. Go ahead and click play and go to the section where, at 17 minutes and 32 seconds into the video. And it goes through 22 minutes and 42 seconds in the video. So that section is exactly where you need to look to find the information you're looking for. So there's that kind of information. And the cool thing is I can tell, again, just to be able to just glance and see, are people active in the not just in the discussion forum, but are they actively participating in going through the assignments? And it's really cool for me because as a facilitator of this course, I'm able to follow up and say, hey, I noticed that you haven't yet gone through anything beyond the first tutorial. Is there any issue that I can help you with? Because I want to make sure that people are staying committed to the assignments, and it's helped me in that way. So it's incredibly awesome on that end. All right, number 5, no more need for weekly course outlines. This is the one where I was almost jumping the gun. In the past, I created these PDF documents, which were weekly course outlines that basically gave people like a syllabus of what to do each week, their assignments. And they could print those off if they want, and there's little check boxes, they could check it out. There's no need for that anymore. The actual Podcasting A to Z product inside of New Kajabi is a course outline, and it's got sections. There's the Start Here First section, which has 3 little tiny assignments, which are videos, which is onboarding. And then there's the week 1 category, week 2 category, week 3 category, week 4 category. And they're all in chronological order, and as you go through the videos, you can literally click to mark that assignment complete. It basically replaces the need for these weekly course outlines. It's awesome. Number 6, no more different passwords for different tutorials. And of course, this is the same benefit I talked about with the old, the old distribution method that I had for my old tutorials. I'm not going to go into that again, but let me just say, there's a lot of tutorials that people get access to, and previously they had to type in, a different unique password for each one of these, and it worked. People loved what they got. But this is so much easier, so much better. It literally, I go in, and when I set them up, I literally grant them access to one offer that gives them access to every one of these tutorials. And it's just so awesome. All right. And then, of course, number 7, it's just so darn beautiful and professional looking. So those are the top 7 things that I love about it. And you know what? I wrote that on like Monday or Tuesday of this week. And it is now Thursday at 9:26 p.m. and I'm even more excited about it now than I was previously. I still am not yet caught up on sleep. It's almost like I'm suffering jet lag. I literally, like I said, I finished at 8 o'clock in the morning. I think I laid down and I kind of fell asleep at 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning, slept until 11, and then got right back to work because I needed to answer the questions for those who were jumping right into the course. A lot of these students have signed up, a month in advance, and they've had access to some of the tutorials ahead of time. And as a result of that, they're ready to go with their questions as soon as the course launches. And so I had to jump right in. That next night, Monday night, I was up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then even after I went to bed, I wasn't able to sleep all that well. Of course, I couldn't sleep in late again on Tuesday because I had, answered a question. And just the last 2 nights, I just have had a really difficult time sleeping. I'm getting somewhere between 2 to 3 hours of sleep at night, and it's just like when I got back from New Zealand. It's like major jet lag. But I have a feeling I did not sleep at all today, and I've been going since 7 o'clock this morning. So after I finish recording this episode, I'm going to go do my workout. And I'm going to go upstairs and lay in bed. And I would say by 11 o'clock tonight, I should be dead to this world. And my prayer and my hope is that I will sleep solidly until about 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I hopefully will be back in it. Certainly by over the weekend, I will be. But anyway, I pulled an all-nighter. I haven't done that in a long time, and it's a good sign that I pulled an all-nighter and that I'm so excited because it means that I'm back in it, guys. I am full on in productivity mode, and I'm excited about this. And you know what? Just knowing that this is, again, here's the thing. This was a great course. Look at podcastingA2Z.com. Read the testimonials. Seriously, spend some time there. Read a couple of them. Just pick 4 or 5 of them randomly and read how people talk about their experience in this course before this new Kajabi system. And oh my gosh, it is night and day different. It is a whole new level. Like, it's just incredibly unbelievable. It's going to make me a better facilitator, being able to follow up and hold people's hands through the process and say, hey, I noticed you haven't watched that tutorial yet. Can I help you? And oh, wow. It's incredible. And it makes me even more excited about doing future sessions of A2Z, especially knowing that it's not going to take all that time on a Sunday afternoon to set everything up. I can't wait. In fact, if anybody's interested, my next session of Podcasting A2Z, let me look it up here. I should have it in my event calendar. My next session of Podcasting A2Z is going to launch on Monday, February 20th. So if you have been thinking about Podcasting A2Z and you want to take A2Z, now's the time. Let me tell you, you can experience the awesome new version of this course going through new Kajabi. It's going to be even more incredible by then because I'll even have more bonus material and frequently asked questions into the new Kajabi system by then. And the cool thing is if you're in my current session of A2Z right now, you'll have access to all of those too. That's one thing. That's another thing. there's a ton of frequently asked questions, and I create custom videos to answer these most frequently asked questions as they come up. And people who are in current sessions get those, but people who have went through a session, let's just say, 2.5 years ago, they have not benefited by seeing the answers to some of the frequently asked questions that have come up in the past 2.5 years, all this new content that I've created. But because all of those previous students are now going to have access to this one product with all of this content, even if you took this course back in March of 2011, you will also have access to all of the answers to all the most frequently asked questions over all of these years. And I'm excited about adding that additional value to those people who have taken the class previously, even without charging anything more to access that information. I just want to serve those people, and because, obviously Podcasting A to Z has been the primary breadwinning product and service that I have for my business, and has allowed so many of my dreams to come true. My dreams for my family financially, my dreams for my family in the home that we live in, some of the dreams that we've had to travel as a family, it just so many dreams, and also fulfillment of my mission and purpose in the world to help teach and encourage and inspire people, and to serve people and coach in the way that I coach and mentor inside of this class. So many things. So I'm excited, kind of. Anyway, if you want to join me for the next session, February 20th, and that's over at podcastinga2z.com. Again, that's podcastinga2z.com. I will be updating the page there with the new date by the end of this weekend. Now, as I'm recording this on Thursday, January 5th at 9:32 p.m., it still shows that the next session starts Monday, January 2nd. But if you were to register and you go to the site, you'll actually be registering for the February 20th session. Or if you just want to shoot me an email, cliff@podcastanswerman.com, and say, hey, Cliff, as soon as you officially have it switched over to the new date, please email me personally, and I'll personally follow up with you. So that's probably the best thing if you're a little concerned about the date being different on the registration page. But just email me, cliff@podcastanswerman.com. All right, what else do I have on my list here to share with you? I've got a bunch of things. Oh, by the way, last week I told you about a couple things, just a couple gadgets that I was excited about. I told you about my Snapchat spectacles. Well, a cool thing, I got my blackout sticker that allows me to cover up the indicator light that says, hey, look at me, I'm recording right now with these glasses. Super bright, rotating indicator light that just tells the world that you're recording. That is covered up with a little black sticker. It looks great. And the other thing I was concerned about was I've got these black on black glasses, but they had this yellow, super bright yellow ring right around the indicator light and the camera lens, which basically says, look at me. I am not your standard pair of sunglasses. I have a camera. And so what I did is I took a black Sharpie marker and colored over top of that black or that yellow line. And now these Snapchat spectacles, they literally look just like a pair of black sunglasses. They do not stand out. They still have a unique, odd shape to them that doesn't necessarily, I think, fit my style. But still, I can walk around and be taking video with my Snapchat spectacles, and it literally, you could not tell unless you knew what these things are. And the funny thing is, I'm finding out a ton of people they've never heard of Snapchat spectacles. Never heard of them. And so anyway, but it's cool. I've been using them a little bit here and there. I plan on using them more in the future. Another gadget I told you guys about last week was I was waiting for my Apple AirPods, and they finally came in just today. And they are incredibly awesome. But I got to tell you, I found something that's somebody reached out to me. Let me pull up my email. I'm going to search for who this was so I can give some credit where credit is due, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got an email after last week talking about how excited I was about my AirPods, and specifically I wanted to use them as I'm falling asleep at night would be the greatest case scenario or use case for them. Anyway, he says this is Harris from Harris, who is the host of the Sleep Whispers podcast. Harris says, "Hey Cliff, I heard you talking about headphones for sleeping. He says I got 3 tips for you. The first tip was the headband with speakers that you mentioned also have a cordless or Bluetooth version. And by the way, those are called sleep phones. And you can find those at sleepphones.com. And, I do not like sleep phones because, number one, it is a headband. I find that it gets a little warm at night when you're wearing a headband, especially if it's the summertime. And not only that, but even though they're supposed to be low profile speakers, if you have this headband on and you sleep on your side like I do, it actually still has, the speaker actually still hurts my earlobes if I'm laying on it. So again, I know it's supposed to be super low profile, but it's still uncomfortable for me when I sleep on my side. So I didn't like the sleep phones personally. Anyway, he talking about the AirPods, Apple AirPods. He says, I use this dirt cheap Bluetooth earpiece, and you can turn sideways and it can go in very easily to the left ear. And so basically, he gave me a link to this dirt cheap Bluetooth earpiece, and it's called VIIVRIA. I'll put a link to these in the show notes. Anyway, the one that he gave me a link to was one for the right ear, and they also make one for the left ear. Now, this is a Bluetooth wireless headset, and it looks like a hearing aid. It looks exactly like somebody who has a hearing aid from back in the 1980s. That's what it looks like. But it's not a hearing aid. Instead, it is a single Bluetooth speaker for your ear, and it sits inside of your ear. And by the way, this I think only works for people with somewhat large ears, which I have. And but it's, get this, $8.99. That's all it costs, $8.99. And if you're a Prime member, it's free shipping. And so I saw that. And here's the thing, it's a single earpiece that goes in one ear, and you sync it to your phone just like any pair of Bluetooth headphones. And the interesting thing is that it's mono. So no matter, if you have a stereo signal or whatever, it's going to put both left channel and right channel into the one headpiece that goes into your ear. And if you're, for example, if you get the right ear one for your right ear, and you're laying down at night in bed on your left ear, this thing's in my right ear, and I slept with it all week this past week, which may be what kept me up all night. I don't know. I don't think it is, actually. But anyway, so I sleep on my left side, and I can put this one from the right ear in, and I listen to podcasts, audiobooks, meditation program, whatever. And it's incredibly awesome for $9, and it does exactly what I wanted the Apple AirPods to do. And I actually, because it was so cheap, I looked up the one for the left ear, and I bought one for the left ear. Now, you would think, well, you got one for the left ear and one for the right ear. Can you sync both of them to the phone? And the answer is no. You can only it will only allow you to do one or the other, which is perfectly fine. But there have been times when I'm laying down in bed and I'll have the one in the right ear and I'll lay on my left ear, and then I'm like, okay, I want to roll over and lay on my right side. So what I do is I pull out the earpiece out of my right ear. Off of my nightstand, I take the one from the left ear and I put that in, and then I'm laying on my right side, and I sync. Of course, as soon as I turn it on, it syncs to the phone, and of course, as soon as I turn the other one off first, which I did, it unpairs from the phone. So anyway, these things for basically $20 for both of them. Incredible. So Harris, thank you for that. I'm glad that you told me about it. I love those little devices, and it's awesome. But now my AirPods have come in, which by the way is $160, I think. But they're incredible. Now they just came in today. By the way, the sound quality of the little cheap ones that I just told you about are really good for spoken audio. It's not great for music, but really good for spoken audio, especially if you're listening to audiobooks or podcasts. It's going to be perfect for you. The Apple AirPods, however, are really good. In fact, I've heard some people say that in their review, they're about as good as the wired AirPods that come with your phone. And my experience, and I'm an audio snob, my experience is that the audio quality from the Apple AirPods is slightly better. I think there's a little bit more of a bass sound that comes out of these Apple wireless AirPods. And the cool thing about this Apple AirPods is that it automatically syncs to your phone just by opening the case. And that's cool. It has a left ear and a right ear, and they're the exact same profile as far as the size and fit in your ear as the AirPods that come from Apple. Now they're both wireless, which is cool. It actually sticks out of your ear more than the cheap Bluetooth ones that I just told you about. And actually, the cheap Bluetooth one is so low profile. I almost wish Apple would have gone that low profile. But it's okay. The cool thing is that with the Apple AirPods, you can put both of these wireless in, and it will do stereo. But also, you could choose to just do one, and it does exactly what the other cheap ones that I just told you about. If you listen to just one, it will take your stereo audio and convert it down to mono and play both the left channel and right channel through the one AirPod that is in either your right ear or your left ear. And if you put the other one in your ear, it automatically switches it back to stereo. By default, the option is there for you to double tap on the AirPod as it's in your ear, and it will pull up Hey Siri. However, you can go in and change the setting on that so that double tapping it will either do pause or continue on your audio. And I switched it back to that because I don't use Siri very often, and I am consistently, pausing and resuming my audio. So, man, Apple AirPods, I'm going to use them tonight when I'm in bed, and I assume that I'm actually going to like these even better. Although I will say that I did like these little cheap ones. I liked how they actually go right inside the ear, and they don't have the little thing dangling out. But, yeah, so there's that update there. Let's see here. A couple other things I just want to share with you. I booked first-class tickets for 2 different trips to California this year. And in fact, I want to encourage you guys, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and get your tickets for Social Media Marketing World. Let me go back to my event calendar. Social Media Marketing World is March 22nd, 23rd, and the 24th. All right, so the 22nd through the 24th of March 2017 is Social Media Marketing World. I will be speaking at what it used to be called a super session at New Media Expo. Social Media Marketing World is going to have an entire podcasting track this year, and I will be the opening thing for that podcasting track. I'll be the opening session, and I think there's supposed to be fewer sessions for that time slot. I would encourage you guys, come meet me, hang out with me at Social Media Marketing World in San Diego. But anyway, I made this decision last year, and sometimes I'm thinking, why do I do this? What's the big deal? But I chose last year that I want to start treating myself to first class travel when it comes to these trips across the country, because, well, first of all, it does mean a lot to me to get on the plane first, because oftentimes if you don't get on the plane first, I don't like to check bags. And I have one of those, I have a roller bag that fits in an overhead compartment, but oftentimes if you don't get on the plane before everyone else, those can fill up, and then they want you to do curbside check or whatever. And I don't want to do that, because then you got to wait at the end. And I know it all sounds crazy, but trust me, there's a reason. And the extra leg room and just the convenience of it all. And you know what? I'm worth it. And so, hey, yeah, first class travel. Now, I have some arrangements with some friends at Social Media Marketing World, and so I don't have to cover the entire cost. They cover a significant portion, but I went ahead and flipped the cost, or paid the cost for the difference to fly first class. And so I'm flying in style to San Diego and back home, and I'm looking forward to that. I really enjoy flying first class. So there's that. Again, oh, by the way, I do have an affiliate link. If you have not signed up for your tickets at Social Media Marketing World yet, I have an affiliate link. You pay the same price, but if you go to podcastanswerman.com/social media, and I'm just making sure this is right. Again, that is podcastanswerman.com/social media is the link. And that will take you right to the page where you can register. Just in the banner there, it'll say register now, and go ahead and register for the event. And I will earn a commission if you do that, full disclosure. All right, so I did purchase tickets for another first class trip, and this one, by the way, I saved $850 because of my airline points that I had with Delta Airlines and my American Express card. But this one is when? This one is August 23rd through the 25th in Anaheim, California. It is Podcast Movement 2017. If you haven't purchased your tickets yet, go ahead and go to podcastanswerman.com/podcast movement. And let me just make sure that link works. podcastanswerman.com/podcast movement. Yep, that'll take you to the page. But anyway, I went ahead and purchased my travel there, first class as well. I decided to fly in a day before, so I'm flying in on the 22nd. And the conference ends on the 25th, but I happened to look at the map online, and the convention center seems to be right across the street. It says the hotel that I'm staying at says it's 18 minutes walking distance from Disneyland. So I actually decided to stay all day on Saturday, the 26th, and I plan on going to Disneyland, and I will fly home on the 27th. So again, that is in August 23rd through the 25th, Podcast Movement 17. You can register over at podcastanswerman.com/podcast movement. All right, that is that topic, and I still want to look at my list here. And what else do I have here? Oh, by the way, I booked the hotel at the Hilton Anaheim, and the reason I wanted to share that with you is it was significantly less expensive than the actual prearranged hotel rooms that you can get at the official venue. Let's see here, the Attend Hotel and Travel. So if I go there, it says book your room. It's at the Anaheim Marriott, and I can't remember what the price was, but I think it was probably $199 or something like that a night. And I think I got like $129 a night at the Hilton Anaheim, which literally is right across the street. And I did a Google Map search and everything, and the Hilton is where I'm staying, and I've been at Hilton's, I've been at Marriott's. They're both extremely wonderful properties, and so that's where I'm staying. And I would just want to share with you that if you wanted to save a couple bucks on your hotel for Podcast Movement, look up Hilton Anaheim, and that is an opportunity for you there to save as well. Just make sure that the address is Convention Way, because that'll be the right one. Alrighty, and then the other thing I was going to say is that I finally did settle on a few goals, although I still haven't completely finished the list. But if you want, I'm going to share with you real quick what my goals that I have so far listed for 2017. And I'm looking in Evernote here, trying to see where that list is. It should be right. Oh, it's right here. And first of all, every year at the beginning of the year, I do give the year a theme. And let me see, yearly themes. Let me just give you, back in 2006, I called it the year of the all-consuming hobby, which was podcasting. 2007 was the year of holy discontent, which is me becoming completely dissatisfied in my daily occupation as an insurance agent. So much so that I finally, in September of that year, I decided to put my notice in, and in January 2008, I launched my own business. So 2008 was the year of the business launch. 2009 was the year of new possibilities, and 2010 was the year that the year of dreams that come true. 2011 was the year of providence. And that was the year of where I just needed to stop focusing on the money and just remember, who is really in control, and that to understand that God is my provider, and that I don't have to work around the clock, endlessly, ceaselessly, every single moment of every day to financially meet the needs of my family and the goals and the things that God has called me to do in this world. So I decided that in that year I was going to look for God's thumbprints, to where He's clearly providing the way. So it was the year of providence. 2012 was the year of even bigger dreams, and boy, that was the year that I wanted to raise my monthly income for my business to $20,000 a month. I wanted to land my first paid speaking gig, and I wanted to have the words keynote speaker next to my name. And all of those things came true in 2012, plus so much more. Wow, it was awesome. Anyway, 2013 was the year of more margin in my life, and I've been living my life with more margin ever since. 2014 was the year of live events, and I hosted my very first live events. They were one-day business masterminds, and both of them extremely successful. And I thought that I would do more since then, but I've had other priorities. But you'll hear my goals for this year in a few minutes. Anyway, 2015 was the year of fitness, and that was the year I made the decision I was going to work out 6 days a week, every week for the rest of my life, and I've been doing it ever since. 2016, last year, was the year of identity. I've talked about that endlessly over this past year, so I'm not going to go into details. But here we are, 2017, and this is the year of growth and contribution. It's the year that I'm going to intentionally make sure that I do not lose focus on my personal, professional, and spiritual growth, and for the purpose of contributing to the lives of those around me. Those need to be my rock solid foundation of what gets me up every day. I want to learn something new. I want to experience new things, and I want to take those experiences and the things that I'm learning, and I want to contribute to other people's lives by sharing that insight, sharing that information in hopes that I can educate, encourage, and inspire others to take their lives to the next level, to help them become more of who they were created to be. All right, and then here's my goals list. So I've already told you my theme of the year is the year of growth and contribution. Here's just the rundown. The first thing that's on my list of goals is I want to review my list of goals once a week, every week through 2017. So I actually put a weekly reminder in my calendar saying, hey, go through and read your list of goals. I want to basically have them top of mind. Journaling on a daily basis, and specifically my gratitude journal at the very minimum. I can do more journaling, handwritten, all that other stuff, prayer journaling, all of those things, but at the very minimum, I want to continue to add to my gratitude journal. And my gratitude journal is simply a notebook that has a numbered list of things that I'm thankful for. And so, for example, today, let me just go to my gratitude journal and tell you what was added in the last couple days here. So let's see here. 83 for the awesome $9 in-ear wireless earpieces. They work awesome for listening to audio in bed. January 4th, 2017. For getting caught up on podcasts. I'm caught up on all of the podcasts that I'm subscribed to, which was a feat. And it's awesome. Let's see here. For getting plenty of sleep yesterday and last night to make up for my all-nighter. That was on January 4th, 2017. To hear that Southwest Airlines may be coming to the CVG airport. I wrote that on January 4th, 2017. Number 87, my new Apple AirPods that came in today. I wrote that today on January 5th. And then number 88, for my friendship with Mark Mason, January 5th. Mark and I had some great exchanges today, and just so thankful for him personally. And of course, I've got a list. Obviously, that was my 88th item on my list of things that I'm thankful for. But every day, I just want to just make a list of the things that, off the top of my head, that I can think that I'm just thankful for as far as experiences and things that I have in my life. So I'm always focused on how great my life really is. All right, so I want to do that daily. And I've got a daily reminder set for that. So it's on my daily to-do list. Continue working out 6 days a week, every week for the rest of my life. I need to wrap this up so I can go get that workout in. Normally, I would be doing it in the mornings, but as I said, my sleep schedule is a little off right now. I have not yet set my sugar goal yet, but one of the things that I want to do is I just want to set a goal related to sugar. And I think that just means that I'm probably going to update this goal so that it says that I will only allow myself to have a sugary style snack, like a ice cream or a muffin or a cupcake or a brownie. That kind of stuff would only happen 1 day per week. And I like what my friend Pat Flynn says. He said, Cliff, he says I consider that to be more of a treat day than a cheat day. And I'm not. I agree. I don't like the idea of the concept of a cheat day, like you're cheating. But just somewhere, and I don't even know that I would call it a treat day personally, because, well, I don't want to say, well, hey, you've done so well, now treat yourself with sugar. And it's like, no, I would more say, you know what, sugar is an enjoyable thing, and there are some things that I just like, wow, this is a really great taste, but I just don't want my body to become accustomed and addicted to that sugar. If I were smart, maybe and had enough willpower, maybe I'd just do away with sugar for the rest of my life and never eat it again. But I'd rather have a more realistic goal, and so once a week is probably what that goal is going to turn out being. All right, the next one is a goal to read a minimum of 12 books that are devoted to my growth personally, professionally, and spiritually. And I have a list of 18 books to currently choose from to fulfill that list, that specific goal. So basically, that's at least one book per month for the next 12 months. And I love what my friend Chris Brogan said recently. He says, it's not how many books you read. It's basically what you do as a result of the inspiration. It's the action you take as a result of the books that you've read. So I like that little note there as well. But yeah, I do want to read 12 full-on books. And then following that, I want to read the summary of a minimum of 20 books via Blinkist. And this is an app for iOS that gives you an outline. You could literally read the outline or a summary of some of the most popular books in 15 minutes or less. So I've already read this one it's called Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking by Susan Can, or it might be Susan Chan. I might have mistyped it. But anyway, Pat Flynn's Will It Fly is in there. I've read the summary of that one. In Defense of Selfishness by Peter Schwartz. And by the way, I think I want to reread that one again because it kind of went against some of the things that in my heart. I don't know, and who knows. Anyway, I read the book Mindset by Carol Dweck a long time ago. I read the whole book based on the recommendation of my friend Dan Miller. And I wanted to kind of test how are these summaries as it compares to the book itself, especially when it comes to mindset. And I will say that the summaries do a pretty good job. It's not the same as reading it. You don't get you don't get the full-on explanation of everything that they're saying with a bunch of stories to kind of illustrate the point. But quite honestly, in the book Mindset, you probably by the time you get into the 4th or 5th chapter, you've got the message. The remaining chapters of the book are just beating a dead horse at that point. And so there are some books where a summary probably will do enough justice to the topic and you pull it away. In other cases, I think some of these, like especially in defense of selfishness, I feel like I came away from the summary of that book and say, I don't know about that. But maybe if I were to, get that full on book and read it, it would make some points that were like, okay, well, that's a different perspective. And I see where it's coming from. And I think if you explain it that way, rather than just in a summary form, I might even agree with it. Although the summary form, I'm just not gelling with that particular message. But at least it got me to thinking, right? So anyway, Blinkist. And by the way, I have an affiliate link for that. You can go to podcastanswerman.com/Blinkist. All right, and then further down the list, it's on my goal to have a responsive web design for my Podcast Answer Man site. This is another project that's been put off for way too long, and I'm sure I'll be talking about it at some point in the future. I don't know if I'm going to have my good friend Anthony work on the design for me using the Genesis, the Genesis framework. My friend Mark Mason's super excited about the Divi theme from, I think, Elegant Themes. Anyway, I definitely know that I want to get into a responsive web design for Podcast Answer Man here and before I get too far into 2017. Equipment sales, I've got a goal to take those to the next level. And I've got a couple other goals here. To be quite honest with you, I don't want to share publicly with you guys, simply because I'm not ready to announce them yet. But I do have some other significant goals that are going to be pretty exciting and things that my community, and many of you, have emailed me about over the past several years and say, "Hey, Cliff, have you ever thought of doing this? And have you ever thought of doing this?" And they're all really big things that I know that a lot of people have been waiting a very long time for, and they're listed as goals here, but they're pretty far down on the list, and I don't know how many of them I'll accomplish this year. So I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. So, but just know that I got some other big things coming down the road. That's what's going on here. This is the first episode of the new year. So Happy New Year to you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. And if you're not already receiving my podcast newsletter, every Friday I send out my best tips, advice, tools, strategies, and techniques related to podcasting. Basically, anything anybody's ever asked me, any advice I've ever given in the past 10 years of consulting and coaching related to podcasting, working with thousands of people all around the world, the best advice is what I'm giving out every single Friday for free on my email newsletter. Head over to podcastanswerman.com/newsletter. podcastanswerman.com/newsletter. And of course, again, if anybody wants to join me for that 29th session of Podcasting A to Z that is coming up on February 20th, if podcastingatoz.com does not show that date yet, feel free to email me, cliff@podcastanswerman.com, and say, "Hey, Cliff, let me know as soon as the registration is officially live for that next session, and I'll personally reach out to you." All right, thank you so much. Until next week, my friends, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.
Podcast Answer Man.